Sir Edmund William Gosse was a British poet and critic. He was born in London in 1849, a son of marine biologist Philip Henry Gosse and Emily Bowes. He had been at odds with his father over Edmund's lack of commitment to his parents' faith, the Plymouth Brethren. He worked at the British Museum since the age of 18 as assistant librarian, but soon his trips to Denmark and Norway and personal acquaintance with Hans Christian Andersen led to him reviewing Scandinavian literature. In 1875 he became a translator for the Board of Trade. His new position enabled him to marry Ellen Epps that same year, the pair having 3 children. Between 1884 and 1890 he was lecturer on English literature at Trinity College, Cambridge. Between 1904 and 1914 he was librarian to the House of Lords Library. He was also a very influential critic of sculpture, due in part to his friendship with Hamo Thornycroft. He died in 1928. He published his first solo book of verse in 1873. His most famous work was his 1907 Father and Son, of his relationship to his father, considered the very first psychological biography. We will review his only work of fiction, his 1892 The Secret of Narcisse. The story takes place in Bar-le-Duc in the Duchy of Bar in 1548. A young maiden, Rosalie Mercelot, is with her family, awaiting the arrival of the weekly mourning procession of the widowed Duchess, who for 6 years had made it her duty every week to travel in reverse the last journey her dying husband, René de Chalons, had made from the church of the castle of Bar-le-Duc to expire in her presence. She alone maintains her grief, the other attendants and even the people of the town bored with the spectacle. Rosalie is distracted from this and the prattle of her neighbours by thoughts of her lover Narcissus Gerbillon, being disliked by the people of Bar for the unpardonable crime of not having been born there. He had come as an apprentice to Le Guerichet, the master sculptor from Saint Mihiel in northeast France. The man had stolen Narcissus as a child and made him his apprentice, but he grew disappointed with him for not being able to be a genius, and so left him in Bar-le-Duc to occupy a single room with a vast house, leaving for Chalons. Now, for reasons he can't explain, Rosalie had become attached to him, being almost the only friend he has in all of Bar, aside from the latest in the line of the esteemed family of trumpeters serving the Dukes of Bar for generations. Even among Rosalie's family, only her father, the gunsmith, likes Narcissus, due to him being a good craftsman. However, today Narcissus does not meet Rosalie at the usual place, beneath the giant grotesque stone image of Christ in an alley which Narcissus likes to criticize. But now the darkness and the feeling of abandonment makes Rosalie flee the spot. Imagining the grotesque stone Christ is endeavouring to tear her apart. Finding Narcissus in the church, he seems to have forgotten their whole meeting, but he calms her for the time, and shows her the image the late Duke had made for his grave, demanding not to be portrayed as a living man, but a near-decayed skeleton buried for 3 years. But following a feast at the trumpeter's house, from which Narcissus escapes missed by no one but her, Rosalie goes to find him at his house. He seems to be playing an instrument in his rooms with someone, and she glimpses what she thinks is a young woman, so naturally she accuses him of witchcraft. She did not mean to do so at first, but half believes her own lie when she sees the wooden skeleton Narcissus had built, whose mechanism can play the zither in tune with his own flute. He intends to make his name with his white maiden, and finally find favour in the eyes of Master Bashir. But the sacristan of the church, on hearing the rumours, gathers a mob, breaks into his house and drags him to prison, where he is sentenced to be strangled, not even having the maiden sent to Richelieu, as the court has it chopped to pieces and burned. A melancholy one, this.